Okay, so now we're going to take a look at a very common AP question, and that is what happens if a monopoly were to become just like a perfectly competitive firm, if it was able to switch and go from monopoly to perfectly competitive. Because, you know, Microsoft should have no problem becoming a cucumber farm. So in the real world, does this happen? No, but in a theoretical world, why not? Take a look at it and see what happens. So for a monopoly, what we know is that we are operating where MR equals MC, but MR is below demand, and therefore we have to draw the dotted line down to quantity and up to the demand curve and over to price. All right, so what would happen if a monopolistic firm were to become a perfectly competitive firm? Well, we know for a perfectly competitive firm, MR is equal to demand, Mr. Dart. MR is equal to demand is equal to average revenue is equal to price. So what will we do? We will get rid of our marginal revenue curve, because marginal revenue would again be equal to demand. What will we do next? We'll do what we always do. All right, and that is we would operate where MR, which is now demand, is equal to MC. We would draw a line down, and we would draw a line across. So we have price, perfectly competitive, is lower than the monopoly price, and quantity for perfectly competitive firms is higher than the monopoly firm. What else do? We got rid of all the dead weight, which means we are now efficient again. So in essence, what we're saying here is now looking at it is not perfectly efficient, because a monopoly would still be operating, would have been operating with a profit. So it's a little bit confusing, but like I said, this wouldn't happen in the real world. We wouldn't get a situation where a monopoly suddenly became perfectly competitive. The closest we can do is get rid of marginal revenue, increase our quantity, decrease our price. So when a monopoly becomes perfectly competitive, that's our big deal. Quantity goes up, price goes down, efficiency is gained, although it's still not perfect amounts of efficiency. So with that, that is a simple question about monopoly becoming a perfectly competitive firm. You might also see a question where they ask you if a perfectly competitive firm were to become a monopoly, in which case you would have the opposite answer, which would be prices would go up, quantity would go down, and efficiency would be lost. I would take a look at that graph, but I mean, it's in essence the exact opposite of this one. So with that, okay, bye.